Hello and welcome back. In the last hour and a half, detectives and BBC researchers here have been logging your calls. It's been actually a quieter night tonight than most evenings on Crimewatch. We've had so far, though, about 500 calls, and some already suggest that we may have some quite dramatic results. Sue?
Well, first of all, the wages snatch in North London. We showed how a violent gang, using the threat of a radio-controlled bomb, ambushed a security van in Tottenham on Friday the 13th of September.
Don't forget, one of your mates died the other week.
What you're going to do is take your mate out some tea, get him out the cab, and if you let him know there's anything wrong, I'll press a button and blow your back out. Understand?
Well, that was their fourth attack, and the only one in which they succeeded in getting away with some money. That was £90,000. Detective Sergeant Jeff Hunt has some new clues, I hope, to help track them down.
Yes, we've had several calls, mainly in relation to the Futaba transmitters and their retail outlets, and we'll be following those up. We have had some calls in relation to the men concerned, but we need more information in relation to those men.
Perhaps we could look at their descriptions once again.
Yes, we have two men. The first man was 5 feet 9 to 5 feet 10 inches. He's slimly built and in his early 40s. He had thin face and dark features, wearing a black curly wig. The second man was again in his early 40s, shorter and much stockier, 5 feet 7 to 5 feet 8, with fair mousy coloured hair covering a receding patch at the front.
Right, we do need some extra information on that stocky second man.
Yes, we need more information, particularly in respect of that second man.
Right, and these are dangerous men. We particularly need calls on that transmitter for the device. It's the Futaba. We want to know where it came from. Thank you. Nick.
Earlier, too, we asked for your help to find the killer of Mrs. Violet Milsom. She was a grandmother who lived alone in Bristol. Her body was found on October the 1st, but 5 days earlier, a local shopkeeper saw her with a man who police still haven't traced, walking in Stokes Croft, not far from her home. Detective Superintendent Malcolm Hughes, though, now thinks that he may have got a lead to that man.
Yes, we've had a call from a lady in St Paul's area of Bristol who says that she knows who this man is and can identify him to us. So we should be following that up shortly.
You were also trying to trace where this came from. This was used to tie Mrs. Milsom up. It's a belt of some description.
Yes, it's a belt from some address. Another interesting call from a lady who says she's lost a belt similar to this and may be able to throw some light on who's had it.
Good. There was a Christmas card from someone called Steve.
Yes, indeed. I've had a call from a man who says that he would like to see the writing on this again because he believes he can identify Steve. So we'll show it again and hopefully he'll ring me.
There you go, to Violet from Steve. We know that card was printed about 76. We don't know when it was sold, but we need to find out who sent it, just to eliminate him, of course. Those are the good calls. You've been not too successful finding the man who was seen coming out of her house or the flat next door at around midnight.
Yeah, the interesting man who was seen at midnight by the witness walking past Violet Milsom's house. It is important. He's a very important man, and it's I would want to hear from anybody who thinks they know who he is.
Perhaps the biggest disappointment, you haven't yet got a name, and you really in your bones feel there's someone out there who has a name to give you.
Yes, I've had nobody call me to say that they know who killed Violet Milsom or suspects that they know who he was. As I said before, he's a dangerous man. I believe he'll kill again if he's not caught. And if anybody does know who he is and is shielding him for whatever reason, please come forward, speak to us now, and help us prevent him killing again.
Superintendent Hughes, thank you very much.
Well, now to our Aladdin's Cave of stolen loot. Was any of it yours? John Bly of the Antiques Roadshow has been working through the calls. John, has anything been claimed yet?
Yes, I'm pleased to say, Sue, that we've had a lot of calls on the piano, and I'm delighted to tell you some on the Bible, which is very good news indeed. Also, one of the pieces that I didn't actually have time to mention is the little clock at the front, and several people spotted that. It's a little late 19th century French-style clock. It has a boule case, that is, it has pierced brass and tortoiseshell decoration to it. A nice little object. It's just a shame we don't have time to talk more about everything here. We've had a lot of fan mail, if you like, for the admirable Admiral Fitzroy barometer, and one of the most pleasing things of the evening, we've had several people who think they've identified the fort and the soldiers. But most of all, the calls have come in about this necklace, and I didn't make it quite clear that this is in fact part of a collection of these gold coins from all over the world.
John, thank you very much. Now to our incident desk. We've had over 100 calls on this alone, here with some of the results, Mercedes Birch and Superintendent David Hatcher. David, first, what have you heard?
Well, it looks very promising. The appropriately named Spook Hill in Dorking was the scene of the Halloween robbery. we were looking for a grey articulated cab, which was one of the getaway vehicles. Well, we've had a sighting of that. In fact, we've got officers going to a field now, and we think we may have recovered it. So that looks extremely promising.
Good. The Barclays Bank raid?
Yes, the Barclays Bank. We're looking for 2 men there. Information from a very reliable source is leading detectives to follow up things which I'm not going to say any more about.
Enigmatic, but interesting. A double rape.
Yes, very serious matter. We've got several names and information which we're going to be following up, and some of that information ties in with what the detectives suspected about the offender, so we're hopeful there too.
Right, there's an artist's impression of the man. Mercedes, you had the most appalling case of rape you were investigating. A 14-year-old girl was the victim.
Very brutal indeed, yes. We've had 19 calls in relation to this, and we do already know, in fact, where you can get this particular type of tea towel, which we showed earlier.
Lots of people have been ringing in about that, I know.
But we do already know that. What we need to know is, where exactly did this tea towel come from? Someone, obviously, very meticulously cut the corner off here, and they have very carefully sewn it up again. We need someone to come forward.
That was used to gag someone.
That's
and the
right.
assailant then tried to strangle her. It's an appalling crime.
She was gagged with this and bound to a tree.
A fraud you were investigating?
Yes, we're looking into bank frauds. Now, we're a little bit disappointed here. Someone must recognise this man. We have a good photograph of him, and he's obviously working in a large area, Derbyshire, Yorkshire, and although we've had a few calls, we've had one very good call. Now, someone's come forward to say that they know this man, they used to live near him, and detectives are looking into this straight away.
OK, thank you. Sue?
Well, finally, the armed robbery in Cromford in Derbyshire. On Wednesday, September the 18th, 3 armed men robbed the tiny village bank.
Right, stand back, it's a raid.
Where are the keys? Give me the keys.
Come on, get in again. Get a bloody move on.
Well, the guard who was injured in that attack has still not yet recovered, and Detective Chief Inspector Jeff Short has been collecting the calls to find the gang that injured him. Have you had any luck yet?
We've had quite a reasonable response, about 50 calls altogether now. Included in those are 1 or 2 names and nicknames which we're following up. We've had 1 or 2 calls in relation to the shotgun, although I would point out that the gun that we used in your reconstruction was just our impression of what the gun looked like. And in relation to the car, we've had quite a lot on the car, some with numbers and some without.
That was quite a distinctive Mini, wasn't it? It was mud splashed, which could indicate that perhaps it had been in the country or in the field or...
That's right, yes, and we'd like to hear from anyone who knows of a Mini that is driven up tracks and may be connected with a team of villains.
And those distinctive hubcaps?
And the hubcaps, it's been pointed out to us by several people who obviously are very au fait with Minis, that this type of hubcap relates to an earlier Mini and is a little unusual to have on an N-registered Mini.
So to sum up, what clues, again, are you hoping that people will come forward with?
We're hoping that people will come forward with a team that may be connected with an N-registered Mini, and I'd repeat the fact that there is this £5,000 reward that might encourage people to come forward if they know this team of robbers.
And these men could come from Derbyshire or the Midlands, or they could come from anywhere?
They could come from anywhere, but they'd no noticeable accents, and we tend to think they come from the Midlands, East Midlands area somewhere.
Well, please do ring us before they really do hurt somebody and perhaps cause a lot more harm. Thank you very much indeed.
01811 8055, that's the number to call if you can help. But those lines, I must tell you, are closing in about 10 minutes' time at midnight. We'll give you local police numbers in a moment. They're all, incidentally, on CFAX. If you can't get through to us at all by phone, please write to us. It's Crimewatch UK, BBC Television Centre, London W12 8QT. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you for calling us if you did. As we always say, don't have nightmares. Please do sleep well.
And we'll be back, as always, in a month's time from now. Meanwhile, good night.
Good night.